I Should Be Writing, Season 21, Episode 11.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
Hi there, welcome to I Should Be Writing. This is a podcast for wannabe fiction writers, and I am your host, Mur Lafferty. I've been podcasting for 20 years, almost 21, and writing professionally fiction professionally since about 2014. My next book is called Infinite Archive. It is out July 1st, and if you are around watching this live on Twitch, which you can do Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, if you type IA giveaway in the chat, you can have links to 3 different places you could win Infinite Archive. I think they might all be US only. I'm not running them. It's not my fault, but my publisher's running them. So one of them is a Goodreads giveaway for the game. I'll come in again. One of them is a Goodreads giveaway for the book itself, and the other 2 are sweepstakes that are lots of books. So I've had a pretty productive week, actually. Unfortunately, not a lot of writing, but I could be lying to myself. My brain lies to me a lot, which we'll get to shortly, but I keep thinking there's a lot of things that take a lot of work. For example, redoing my archives. But once they're done, they're done. You know? I've got several things I want to get to a point where I have a template for a quick thing I want to throw online. Or the archives are finally done and I can focus my admin stuff on something else. So I've been doing a lot of that this week. I've been getting the 5 podcasts that are in the can. I've been getting them scheduled and up. And just a lot of admin stuff, behind the scenes stuff. I did write on not book stuff. I just decided to pick one of my projects and go for a little while, and that was interesting. I still have a book due, so that should be my priority. All right, so I've told you guys about 3 bullies so far. Bart the potato, who just is kind of blunt force damage to your soul. Just kind of, you suck, you're terrible, stop writing. Your 3rd grade teacher who didn't like science fiction was right, and you should not be even trying to do this career, etc. Then we have the Blade, who is meaner because the Blade compares you to somebody else and finds you lacking. The Blade is jealousy. So even if you're happy for someone and you see... Hello, listeners. It appears to be the season where Mur cannot catch a break. Not really sure what happened here, but the recording stopped recording and then turned back on, so we've got a little bit of a hiccup here. I don't think I lost too much because I'm still talking about bullies when we pick up in just a couple of seconds. Sorry about that. In the house, instead of writing, that's the sponge doing its bully action on you. If you're stuck in a story and you go to, clean the kitchen or something and take a break, then the sponge might actually solve the problem for you. So the sponge is a little, is it a new sponge or is it an old sponge that carries bacteria? Who can say? But today, I'm feeling low. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I've been sequestering myself away from a lot of news, not because I want to hide myself in the sand or deny it, but I'm filled with this vast expanse of helplessness. And I don't like feeling like that. It doesn't do anybody any good. But I realize over the years, as I've moved away from social media for first to slow down the distractions so I could write, and then I kind of got in the habit of it, and then most social media went to hell. Or my favorite, the place where I had the most followers, that particularly went to hell. Thanks. I've just been moving away. And then while I still podcast, I am in the Podcast Academy Hall of Fame even. I don't listen to a lot. And the ones I listen to are usually things like Brindlewood Bay actual play. I have been listening to some mystery review and some book review podcasts. But I have a friend who listens to so many podcasts. And he's also online a lot. And he gets his work done, so clearly he's not, like, running around looking for something to distract him. He, like, gets stuff done and keeps up with things. And we did some co-working today at a cafe, and we were just chatting over lunch, and he started, almost every subject he started with made it sound like this was something that everybody knows about, it's happening, and I'm the only one who doesn't. And I just realized I'm just kind of shrinking back into the corner. And the thing is, I don't feel depressed. I have depression. I know what it feels like. I can make creative things. I can enjoy some things in life, but I do feel like I'm succumbing to the fourth bully, which is despair. You can see despair in the video right here, because I actually got its picture up. That is despair. And there's really not a lot to say about it. It's, as the kids say, if you know, you know. Despair doesn't even tell you you're bad or tell you somebody else is better. It just tells you it's pointless. It'll even bring you a blanket. Those tentacles, they get put to work. It'll bring you a blanket and, sit you down, maybe get you some hot tea and tell you it's okay. Because it's useless. It's worthless. There's no reason. Very nihilistic, this bully. And again, I'm falling prey to I've done so many freaking podcasts, I can't remember which anecdotes I've told before or not. Anyway, last year on the Joco cruise, I was having fun. I'd made friends. It was karaoke night, where the people who, the performers on the cruise, get up and do karaoke. And I'd made friends with the cartoonist Naomi, and they and I got the proper amount of drunk, and when it was time to go to the karaoke, we were walking down the hall with John Hodgman, who I'm a big fan of, and he said it was like we were walking towards, we were Spinal Tap walking down, and I got this great selfie of us with me and John Hodgman and Mari and their spouse, and it was fun. It was a fun start to the night. The karaoke went from, a lot of the people performing on the cruise are good with music. If not musicians, they're actors and have trained their voice. So it started out with really good singing people. And then it got to the two people who don't sing for a living. And Mari did Blister in the Sun, and I did Punk Rock Girl. They were both terrible, but they were both very enthusiastic. We were enthusiastic. When I was done, the audience, the big audience had started a thing of chanting people's names early. So when they're happy with something, or if they're watching a live action, if they're watching people play D&D on stage and a character does something good, they'll start chanting that character's name. So I was on a stage performing a punk rock song, and when I was done, everyone was chanting my name. There was no way it could have gone better unless I'd actually found a voice and sung actually well. But the next morning, I felt like garbage. And I'm not talking about the hangover. It was slight, but I just felt like, what is the point of me doing any writing or doing anything ever again? And because that night was so textbook, very obviously a fun night that went well for me socially, I couldn't even think back to a conversation I had that may or may not have offended somebody. ADHD people do that a lot. And I was trying to look academically at the day before when everything went awesome and the next day where I felt like trash. And that is where I just, I've said before that reality, your emotions are not always reality. I'm not saying your emotions aren't validated. I'm not saying that they're not real. They're your reality, but they're not reality. Like an overprotective parent gets really worried about their child crossing the street. And, well, you can say it could happen and your worry is valid, but the kid's probably going to be okay. When we have something, often physiological, that goes wrong, our brain decides, we're toddlers inside, and the toddler's saying, it's raining and I want to go on my slide and I'm going to scream about it. And if I go out on the side and I'm shown that we can't play outside because of the rain, I'm going to scream about the rain. That's just how our stupid brains work. And so this is my very long-winded way of saying, you're going to probably feel the very nice tentacle touches of despair. But you don't have to listen to it. And here's where actually, writing your own CV or your own resume or just a list of your accomplishments would be useful. Because things like this are, I know I won a Hugo Award and I've been honored in other ways and oh God, but they're all wrong and I'm still feeling terrible and everything I write is crap. It's like, no, you can look at the facts. And I'm not promising any emotional uptick because I know that's not how it works. But if you can step back from whatever you're despairing about and think, that is an emotion that's happening in me, but it's not reflecting the world around me. And then you just, I don't know, not sure what to do concretely, get on a podcast and whine about it to all your friends. But at least keep that in mind, that all the bullies lie. Despair is bad because despair wants to hug you, but it also lies. Despair is the overprotective parent going, oh, it's okay that you lost that game. We'll protect you by never letting you play again. So, yeah, I was realizing I was feeling bad today about not knowing, not only I do know some, why am I stuttering today? I don't like it. I really don't like it. But not only am I, annoyed about the current events and then, worried about what current events I haven't heard about that I should be worried about, but then it's I had this co-working lunch with my friend and felt bad after that because clearly I'm not even keeping in touch with pop culture anymore. And then I thought, of course, okay, so how to get back into it, and then suddenly thought about all the pop culture out there, as well as all the news. It's just overwhelming. And I'm sorry to be a downer, but I found it really interesting when I thought about, oh God, I have to stream today and I'm such a crappy mood. Oh wait, I'm supposed to talk about despair today. Okay, that fits. I actually got a new dosage of my ADHD meds, and see, here's the thing where your brain decides something on a level without your logical mind weighing in, which is, I've heard so much about don't medicate kids and all this terrible ADHD turning into meth, and people turning into meth dealers or turning to meth or something. That I went on ADHD meds, but when it wasn't really working for me, I felt resistance to go up in the dosage. And that's because of the whole stigma thing. But I did go up again. And the first time I just felt really distracted, only a lot more so. But this week, it's been a lot better. So I have been productive. I'm still not at the point where I can sit down first thing and do writing. I would really like to hack my schedule and make that happen somehow. For some reason, I still have that feeling of, okay, I've finished my writing. It's the most important thing of the day, and now I'm done. And there's still lots of other stuff to do. One thing I did when I came home, I also was being overwhelmed by a lot of projects. I want to do them all. I want to do them all right now. But what I did was I wrote down every single project I wanted to do, and then I wrote what the next one step, the first step was to do the thing. And a lot of them are read a blog post, or 5, or play this game or read this book in order to get a sense of the genre that I want to write in. And I think that helped. And then my watch told me it was time to stream, and so I ran over here and was only 10 minutes late. And now you know my day up to now. Yeah, and sometimes the inability to decide a direction of something, because this happened when podcasting began 20 years ago, 21 years ago, where I thought, this medium sounds so cool. I want to play with it. How? I had no idea. It took me I probably would have been podcasting earlier than December, but I couldn't decide on what to do. And now I'm looking at, I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, Stamp Fans, which will send out letters or postcards or actual booklet zines. All you have to do is upload the file. And I thought that was very cool, but I don't know what I want to do with it. Do I want to serialize a novel? That's terrifying. My novels need a lot of edits. But I did serialize the whole Afterlife series back in 2007. I serialized that on podcast. So, I either want to serialize a novel or put out there are a couple of games I've been getting into that are, is this one of them? No, it's not. You are sent a packet of stuff. What's it called? Ephemera? That's not right. Anyway, whatever it's called, you get sent a police report about some missing hikers, and you get the transcripts, and you get somebody's journal, and then you get 5 photographs with creepy things in the background, and you're supposed to figure out what happened. I actually don't know what they're looking for, because I thought it was pretty obvious what happened, but I haven't actually gone to the website to see if I was right. But stuff like that I found really interesting, and I thought this would be a place I could use that. I could do that with this medium. Or I could just serialize a novel. Not quite hunt-a-killer like a Forerunner. It's smaller than that, I think. Because this is... I guess it is like hunt-a-killer. Yeah. But the one I got was Curios. I think it's downstairs because I've been researching it. But yeah, a whole bunch of a thick thing of just letter paper, and then 5 photographs, and yeah. So that seemed like a fun thing to try. It seems probably easier than a murder mystery novel. So, I think going through and making that list of first steps was good. On the other hand, I have to be aware of the fact that I think my mind likes to make lists in order to procrastinate, which is terrible. because sometimes I don't think I can do anything unless it's written down. So, yeah. Because I'll make a big dump list of everything on my mind, and then I'll move it to my planner so I get to write it down twice. And that's 2 writing down lists where I'm not actually doing any work at all. What bully would that be? I don't know. But anyway, yes, I was saying my goodbyes. You can email me at mightymur@gmail.com. My blog and show notes are at murverse.com. You can subscribe to this podcast almost anywhere that you can subscribe to podcasts. And you can support and become a fabulist and get more content earlier and ad-free. So if you join at patreon.com/mightymur. Escape Pod just had its 20th anniversary last week. And I was very pleased with the story. Escape Pod is free. It's weekly. It's audio and ebook. Well, not ebook, but, print on the page, on the electronic page. And we've been doing it for a long time. So the most recent story is a T. Kingfisher one. So if anybody likes Ursula's voice, you will definitely hear it if you writer voice, not actual narration voice. But anyway, my books are in the stores. They're about science fiction and murder, most of them. One is about Star Wars. One is about Minecraft. But you can find them if you search for me. Or look on my blog, and blog has them too. Website has them too. But I'm going to go chill out for a little bit and nurse my sad little inner child or something. But I got to get some stuff done, and so should you, because you should be writing. Thank you for listening to I Should Be Writing, the longest running writing podcast in existence. This episode was made possible by the Fabulous, who support the podcast via Patreon or Substack. Join the Fabulous at patreon.com/mightymur or mightymur.substack.com. Theme music provided by John Anelio. Art provided by Numbers Ninja. And podcast hosting provided by Libsyn. This episode is released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 license. You can find all of my books and podcasts at murverse.com.
Doctor